Hey everyone, this is Tessa from Tessa Brock Consulting, and I just wanted to take a minute to just reach out. You have all been on my heart. I have been thinking about you so much, and I know the last 2 weeks have really felt, for me, feel pretty crazy, pretty unexpected. I was thinking, it felt like to me that 2 weeks ago things were going fairly well. It's as if I was walking down the ocean or on the beach, and that the waves were just kind of caressing my feet, and the sun was shining down on me, and I was enjoying the sound of the ocean. And out of nowhere, this massive wave came and overtook me and drug me into the water, tossed me upside down, brought my feet out from underneath me, and I couldn't quite figure out how to catch my breath. Um, that's what the last 2 weeks have kind of felt like for me. I don't know if you can relate to that, but so for me, what I have had to try to figure out how to do is to really pause and to take some deep breaths and to really double down on that self-care that I so often talk about. You know, when we think about um, the trauma-informed approaches, one of the things that stands out for me is that we talk often about those brain states. And when we are in either fight, flight, or freeze, or we're emotionally flooded, we don't have access to logical thought. And so I have noticed that when I don't self-regulate, when I don't calm, when I'm not taking good care of myself, I just don't have the same resources emotionally, intellectually. I'm not as regulated. And I'm not able to execute the way that I want. And so one of the things I have noticed is that in all of that, um, I am one of those adults that is homeschooling a kid, thanks because of you. And so I am trying to navigate those waters while still holding down the responsibilities of my full-time job. And as I'm doing all of that, I notice that one of the things I need to do around self-care is to not expect perfection, which can be hard for me sometimes, but to not expect perfection. And I know that Monday, when I started like the really intense, I'm going to homeschool and I'm going to do this really, really good. It was painful and it was miserable, and I didn't get any sleep because I did all this academic stuff with the little one that I'm with, and then I tried to nail everything for work, and then I was exhausted and I was grumpy, and everyone went to bed upset. And I laid in bed going, Tessa, I think you need to pause, and I think you need to take those deep breaths physically and, metaphorically, to really let go of some of the intensity that we're feeling. And so one of the ways that I've been doing that is I've really been limiting my media exposure. When this all started, I was constantly on Facebook and constantly had the news on. I was doing all kinds of stuff to just want to know. And what I have shifted to now is really doing media like in the morning, around lunchtime, and around 8 o'clock at night, long before I go to bed, to make sure that I'm just not overwhelming my system with all the yuckiness of all of this. I want to be informed, I want to be educated, but I also want to make sure that I'm not feeding fear, feeding anxiety. I want to balance informed with those hyper alert emotional states. The other thing that I've read, a lot of the experts are saying, is that after we take in some of that media exposure, to make sure that we go and do something physical. And so, or just to take some deep breaths. So it might be just 3 deep breaths. We know that's the magic reset for our brains. Or also it could be just going for a walk, or doing some physical activity, or just something just to get the yuckiness of the media out of us. Anyways, that's some of the stuff that I'm trying to do as I try to stay centered in this really uncertain experience that we're all moving through together. The last thing that I just want to make sure that I say to you is I just want you to hear how much you are appreciated. That I can only imagine how incredibly difficult and hard this experience has been for you. That in a matter of very short time, you have had to completely revamp and redo and shift everything that was on your plate. as far as providing, most of you are educators, and so providing those resources for your students and for the parents to deliver some of that information for students. The loss that you are most likely feeling, the fear that you are most likely feeling around some specific students, that's hard. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to hold. And I think what I wanted to just, my heart has been thinking about you so much. And what I just needed to reach out and say to you is that I see you and I value you. I respect you. I appreciate you. And I would say that the majority of the parents of your students do too. Your kids miss you. You matter so much to them. The little one that I'm homeschooling will move through some of her schoolwork, and she'll look at me and she'll say, Tia Tessa, I like you as my teacher, but you're not my teacher. My teacher is so-and-so, and I miss her. And I just laugh. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not your teacher. I'm your teacher right now, but she is your teacher. And so it's fun to see how much they miss you and how important you are to them. And I just wanted to, in this era of physical distancing, I'm trying to call it social distancing, because as humans, we are wired for connection. And so we really want to be socially connected and physically distant. But in this time of just being physically distant from each other, I just wanted to reach out and say that I see you, I appreciate you, I value you. I have a sense of how incredibly difficult this moment is for so many of you. And I want you to feel like we're all connected together, and that I am thinking about you, and holding you in my heart, and I am sending you so much love. So I just needed to connect with you and tell you that I'm holding you in my heart. So please take care of yourself. Please practice self-care. Please send love to those around you, and reach out if there's anything I can do to support you. So I'm sending you love, and take care of you and yours.